To order this Thursday, October the 18th, 2018 meeting of the Tennessee Alarm Systems Contractors Board. We want to welcome all of our visitors to our meeting today, and Ms. Fest, will you please call the roll?
Thank you. Scott Cockcroft.
Here.
Doug Fraker.
Here.
Keith Harvey.
Here.
Vivian Hickson.
Here.
Lou Richard.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Have the members had an opportunity to review the agenda for today's meeting, and if so, a motion to adopt the agenda is presented?
Make a motion to adopt the agenda as it has been presented. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Harvey, a second by Mr. Cockcroft to adopt our agenda for today's meeting. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Our agenda is adopted. The next item are the minutes from the August the 23rd and August the 24th board meeting and the August 23rd declaratory meeting. Have the members had an opportunity to review those, and if so, a motion to approve as presented?
Make the motion to approve the meeting minutes from the 23rd and the 24th as presented.
And the declaratory hearing?
And the declaratory, sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Fraker to approve the minutes from the 23rd and 24th of August board meeting and the 23rd declaratory hearing, and a second by Mr. Harvey. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The motion is approved. Our legal report, Ms. Thomas, are you handling it today?
It will be me this morning. Mr. Huffman is unable to attend today's meeting. So we'll jump right into the legal report. The first case is 2018-044611. Complainant alleges that respondent installed an alarm system at complainant's business. Complainant alleges that the system has never worked properly. Complainant alleges that many calls have been made to respondent and that the technicians that respond are unable to get the system working properly. Complainant alleges constant false alarms and cameras that are not connected to the system as they should be. Respondent provided a response to counsel and stated that new cameras had been sent to the complainant and that a technician had been dispatched to remedy the problem. As of August 14, 2018, the problem had not been corrected. However, respondent continues to find a solution. The recommendation of counsel is this is more of a contract or service dispute, and the recommendation is to close.
Make a motion to concur with counsel.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Harvey, a second by Mr. Richard to approve or to concur with our counsel's recommendation. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
Case number 2 is 2018-045751. Complainant alleges the following. Respondent has failed to repair or replace equipment that was reported faulty in September of 2017, failed to provide service, but still accepts monthly payments, fraudulently represented the need for a new contract, and failed to send repair service or return phone calls. Respondent responded to the complaint and states that complainant's account was sold by an independent dealer with a first-year service obligation and installed on May 17, 2017. Respondent states that service was performed for complainant on September 27, 2017. Respondent states that when complainant contacted them for service again in October and requested a different technician, respondent contacted the local independent dealer in an attempt to get them to complete the request. After the call, it was determined that the independent dealer no longer services in the complainant's area. Respondent states that the system operated as intended, but due to the cameras being inoperable, the complainant requested the contract to be canceled. Respondent canceled the contract and offered reimbursement of half of what had been paid on the account. Respondent states that the complainant accepted the offer. The contract and service has been canceled. The recommendation is to close.
Not the same company in 1 and 2, is it?
Same company, actually.
Make a motion that we follow the guidance of counsel.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Harvey to concur with council. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second by Mr. Richard. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
Case number 3 is 2018-052-051. Complainant alleges that they were called to assist in installing a maglock and IEI keypad on a door at a business. Upon arrival, complainant asked the person who was there who was paying for the work, and an employee of the business responded and stated that the IT company was supposed to be doing the job and that they had already installed the cameras and the security system at the business. Complainant then looked up the business name that the employee gave them and discovered that they were not licensed. Complainant billed the respondent for the 2 hours that they had technicians on the site. Complainant alleges that respondent refused to pay the bill and argued about licensure. Respondent has not responded to the complaint. The recommendation is to authorize a formal hearing and send a consent order with a civil penalty in the amount of $1,000 for engaging in unlicensed activity in violation of Tennessee Code annotated 62-32-304A.
We do an investigation, or this just he said, she said?
There was not an investigation completed on this one. I think it's just based off of what was received from the complainant.
Respondent never responded. I mean,
That's correct. So what was put in the summary about what the respondent said all came from the complainant.
I make a motion to concur with the recommendations of our council.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Cockcroft, a second by Mr. Fraker to concur with our council's recommendation. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
That concludes the legal report for this meeting.
Thank you.
Can I ask the board, what is a maglock and an IEI?
A maglock is the big lock that, goes at the top of a door that holds the door shut. And an IEI is a brand of a keypad that you use for access control to unlock.
Just a lock and a keypad.
Right. And that's what he was installing, but I take it that the person doing that was licensed for that work. The complainant is a licensed company, and they were licensed to, it's access control. But their complaint was about the camera system, and was it also a security system?
Right. When they got called in because whoever the unlicensed person that was there probably got into work that was beyond their knowledge base, and so they had to call in an actual licensed person to complete the job.
My understanding was that the location had contracted with a data company that wasn't licensed, probably to do the cameras, security system, and the access control, and then they needed help putting the lock in, and the person they called is who turned them in.
Terminology. I just want to make sure we knew what we were talking about.
Next on our agenda are the appearances for today.
Yes, we just have one appearance. That's Robert Topel. He's already signed in. The gentleman's back here with his qualifying agent. You do have his information there, and it's going to take you a few minutes to look it over. Actually talked to him. I think you got like 300 pages of it or something.
No, they did not get the.
Take you a few minutes to look at it. Give the board just a couple of minutes to look at that.
They did review it last meeting, though.
He was. You did review the criminal record last meeting and asked for him to come in. That's why he's here.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning. Where do you want me to begin?
Are you Mr. Topel?
I am Mr. Robert Topel, yes.
Okay. Tell us about yourself and about this incident that happened with
A long time
your
ago,
business that
I
failed.
was, my best friend at that time came up with a business opportunity to open up what we called an eBay store when eBay was up and coming. And business was doing very well. We would buy products, sell it online, and so forth. And former partner and best friend embezzled $250,000 approximately from the corporation and fled. The customers that were still owed product or a refund, and I tried to refund as much as I can until I completely. He fled the country. The detectives that were investigating the situation actually went after him first, but hit him. So because I was still here, I needed to take responsibility and make sure that the victims were compensated for his actions. So it was ruled by the courts that I would be on probation with restitution until the debt was completely paid off. That's the short version of it.
What was the approximate amount of the debt? It said in there how much he embezzled, but it didn't say how much was owed to what you were having to pay in restitution or what was left on that.
$130-something thousand.
So the amount he embezzled is the amount.
Correct, because, yeah.
How far along are you in that? I mean, what are you still owe at this time?
Well, the sentence was 30 years probation with restitution, halfway through my probation period. And I make monthly payments every month. I report every month to my probation officer. Well, here it's differently because I just moved here from South Florida a few months ago. In South Florida, I would report monthly. Here, they do think they based on the review and my no risk factor, I only see my probation officer quarterly.
You're halfway through your probation, so does that mean you've paid half of the
Yes.
restitution?
Yes, I have.
So there's still
Some odd.
$118,000, give or
Yes, ma'am.
take, due?
According to your shirt, you're working for a sprinkler company, is that correct?
Century Fire Protection.
Century Fire Protection, and you're wanting to be able to do the electronic part, I'm assuming.
Fire alarm.
Fire alarm versus just pipe fitting.
Correct.
I understand.
I've been doing it now for 18 years.
You did that in Florida.
Yes.
Is this sales or?
Yes.
Okay.
Design and sales, yes.
Okay.
What product were you selling at the time?
It was a vast variety, anything from board games to electronics.
So the amounts that people were owed it was just a lot of them, but they were relatively
Yes.
small.
We did very high volume in sales, so when my former partner embezzled and fled, we had a lot of customers that were still owed product. We, as a business, we had 15 days to ship out. And because of the volume that we did, we were waiting on stock to come in to get out. But when all this came down, we shipped out everything that we had in the warehouse, and whatever was left over, as funds were coming in, they were being sent back to the customer so that we wouldn't owe more, and whatever was left in the corporation was refunded to those who were owed a product. I tried everything in my power to appease everybody, but you can't help everybody when you don't have the means to do that. So, trying to do that for 30 years.
When were you hired by Century Fire Protection?
I started in April.
Would you like to come up?
Robert York, QA for local branch of Century Fire. I've been the QA for local branch since the former QA left the company, and I was already with the company, so I became the new designated QA around the same time he came on. So.
Please be mindful that this light has to be lit when you're speaking.
Yes, the question was, how long has he been at the company? He's been with March. Now he actually moved up here from a sister company that our corporation purchased in South Florida, and so he was already working.
Your time in working together, what's your opinion? What kind of worker is he? Person?
Diligent and knowledgeable. He knows the industry. He's the product that we're selling. As far as the area, I mean, he's new to the area, so he's learning the ins and outs of the different contractors and stuff. I mean, we're purely a fire alarm company. From on that side, we've been doing fire alarm for years. We're just kind of relatively new to the Nashville market. Been in the Nashville market doing fire alarm for about 4 years now. I think that's how long that. And I came on board with the company about 2 years ago. So,
As you can imagine, a case like this reads much worse on paper than it sounds out loud. That's
absolutely
why we asked you to come in today. We appreciate you coming in.
I appreciate that as well.
I'll have more questions for the gentleman. Okay, thank you.
Make a motion that we grant Mr. Topol his registration.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Harvey and a second by Mr. Fraker to approve this gentleman for a registered employee slot. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Good luck.
Congratulations, and thank you both for coming in. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You too.
Do you want to go to the administrative matters, or?
Mike, yes, we can.
Is this gentleman just monitoring today?
Yes, he's one of our qualifying agents who comes to the meetings.
Oh, that's fine. I didn't know if he had business.
We
We'd
wish
go ahead
more
and take care
people
of
would
him.
come to these meetings.
Well, welcome to the meeting today.
Mr. Sewell's with us today. All right, you want to go straight into administrative matters?
Yes, ma'am.
We can. First thing we're going to look at is the monthly report. A lot there to really talk about. Heard 3 complaints this morning, and in time we get those complaints. It was for August and September. I've already sent it out. If you don't have any questions, we'll just move right. View. For the month of August, I'm just going to give you the ending total here, but hold on just a moment so I. I can't read it in my paper. It's just like, that was a
You want the
different,
yellow
yeah, I
or the-
wanted the yellow
Oh,
one.
I can't help you.
I can't,
Let me see.
we might have to add these up.
Yeah, no, I can't see that.
Is it supposed to be?
Can't see that.
You really, I know it, I apologize for that, my goodness. Yeah, we sure gonna have to do something different. You're in the black. That is great. Other than that, we will make sure we don't use these colors again. Oh, okay. We don't have any legislative updates. We do have an application review. You want to move right on to that one. For our criminal history. Ms. Jones. Give you a few minutes to look at that, but what we had was conspiracy to defraud the U.S. United States, and she was found guilty. That was back in 2013. So I'll give you a few minutes to look at that. Excuse me. According to her station, she's going to be at a monitoring station.
Isn't it?
I think so. Her statement hits on all 5 points.
So we really don't know what type of funds or anything that went into this joint account. It's kind of vague.
All I have is that statement from her. I read it probably as some kind of assistance is the way I read it, since it's defrauding the United States. I don't know whether that'd be assistance, I don't know, but it's the way I read it anyway.
Say due to the age of this act and her needing employment, I would make a motion that we grant her registered employee.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Harvey to grant this request for a registered employee. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second by Mr. Cockcroft. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Education report.
Yes, well, we did not have a request for an extension, we just did the criminal history, so if you want, we'll go straight to the education. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at that? That was. Scott, you want to take this first? I think you were given the ALTRONIX. Okay, thank you.
That looked fine to me.
Each of the words.
What else did I have? Do I have anything else? Okay.
Okay, for they asked for two of them, power over the Ethernet and innovative techniques. One was for 1 hour continuing education. The second one was for 2 hours of education. You're saying it's okay for all of them? How about yours?
I had 2 of them, and both of them were for 1 hour of continuing ed, and they were both good for that.
And that is DAHUA.
I don't know how that one is pronounced.
I didn't know that one either.
I've seen it, but I don't know how to pronounce it. I know what it is.
They pronounce it Dawa.
Dawa?
Dawa.
Oh, thank you. I didn't have, okay. Let's see, and Lou, you had one for the ESA.
I actually had Century. Century, and Century looked good. They asked for 2 hours, but the course looks well over 2 hours, so That one is good. And then as far as ESA, what they were asking for was basically video conferencing, courses. So, and I don't see a problem with that. I mean, that's the wave of the future, so.
You approved both of them, so both of them's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So what were, they're requesting to be able to do online training for all of their classes? Or
From what I could find on the website is basically level 1 and I think it was FAME. So there's just several. There wasn't all of them.
Because I thought we had already approved.
They were, or they got sent out I already approved them because they were on the list.
Okay.
But we did get them sent out. I'm glad you did review those and you agree with me. Thank you.
Okay, that leaves one.
Doug,
That was me. And that's where I was confused, but I'm getting some clarity, so.
that's Innovonics,
Correct.
1 hour of continuing education.
1 hour of continuing education. It's talking more about consulting, being more of a security consultant. Am I allowed to pass them out, show them to other people?
Sure,
Okay.
yes, please.
Here, I printed it, because I asked Shauna for some clarification. Here, I've got plenty of copies.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. There we go.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it necessarily being about, how to design the system. It doesn't necessarily have to be technical. I mean, we've approved classes that were about sales or business management. So, I mean, it could relate to how to apply the product, not necessarily technically how to use it.
Well, it's relevant to our business.
They're talking about active shooters, how to identify, doing risk assessments, which we do all the time when we're walking a building or whatever. We do that all the time. So I was hoping for some input from the board, being new to this board myself.
Probably well sufficient for just an hour of CEU. Talked about an hour of a lot less relevant for
We've had a lot less relevant courses that's requested in hours, what Keith said. So you think it's okay for an hour of continuing education?
I think it's okay, just
Okay.
based on what information we have.
Okay, based on each individual's review of these courses, do we have a motion to approve them en masse as presented to the board?
Make the motion to approve the courses as presented.
Which one? Lou? No, did you second it?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
So it's Doug and Lou.
Yeah, we have a motion by Mr. Frager, a second by Mr. Richard to approve these these education classes as presented. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No, I couldn't distinguish which one of you it was. And I try to read it out for Jenny, so. Okay, is that all on our education?
That is all the education. I think we probably just move on down to, I don't have any unfinished business. I do have some new business,
Okay.
and it is your new dates for the next year. I hope everybody's had an opportunity to look at those. Shauna had to go out and try to make sure we could get the room, one thing. Then we had to make sure with the
Nashville.
Convention Center and everybody else to make sure what was going on at the particular times, and these are the dates, and we try to stay pretty much as we could to last year's schedule. But I did not hear from anyone, so I took it that there wasn't any problem with the dates.
Let's say that it looks good to us as of today.
It'll be very difficult to make any changes. We did make a change with our Private Investigation Commission. They are now be meeting on Thursdays in this room. Whenever they changed from Fridays to Thursdays, the rooms were not, they're in the big room because there's 9 of them. They had to get this room because the dates have already been taken for the rooms. And then what activity might come up in Nashville, we don't know, but we'll work around these dates as best as possible. And if we find that we need to make any changes, we'll get to you as quick as possible.
Now, we're not scheduling for a hearing or anything. We're
We
planning.
have, no, sir, just your 5 complaints.
Okay.
It just depends on what might happen. But, if we do, we'll try to make it on the same day as the board meeting. If it looks like it's going to be, an all-day event, and then if we have to, we'll make it a Friday, but we'll keep you abreast of that if it comes up.
Any more new business? Any unfinished business?
Oh, I believe we have.
This meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. What time is it?